Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today's one's going to be us going over the adept palindrome here on D2 Gunsmith. So I did one of these videos a little while ago going over the Cold Front SMG from the Dawning event, and you guys seem to like that video. So I decided to make another one going over the adept pally, and I feel like now's a good time to do it. Because if you don't know, you can actually currently farm for this weapon this week in the GM Nightfall, because it's currently the Lake of Shadows on the EDZ. And this weapon is dropping from that Nightfall, so this is like the best time to farm for this weapon. If you don't know, the Lake of Shadows Nightfall is like the shortest and easiest one to complete, so you're going to be able to get the most out of it for your time invested. And I definitely recommend hitting up LFG or some friends and getting in there and farming for this weapon, because now's the best time to do it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start breaking this weapon down on D2 Gunsmith. So starting off with the masterwork, it is a hand cannon, and I will always preach range here. I believe that range is the best in slot masterwork for any hand cannon ever. I don't chase any other masterwork on this type of archetype. Range is just the winner here. You really just don't need stability, handling, or reload speed, especially with this weapon. As you can see, it is pretty stacked by default. Also, if you don't know, adept weapons, when you masterwork them, also increase all of the other stats on the weapon, which is one of the unique features about it. So this feature alone is really cool, and another big reason why I recommend farming for it. Moving into the mods, you can choose whatever you want here, obviously. Just be aware now that you have adept mods, obviously, whatever ones you've earned. If you don't know how to earn these, basically you get them from completing Grandmaster Nightfalls and completing Trials of Osiris. Those are going to be the two main ways. Certain ones are tied to certain activities, so like Adept Icarus is only in Trials, and then some ones like Adept Big Ones, for example, can be found in Nightfalls. I can't give you the exact here, I'm not going to go over them all, but you know, there's like certain ones that you can only get in Trials and certain ones you can only get in like GMs and stuff like that. I believe there's another way to farm for them, I'm not sure what it is though, but those are the two main ways. But yeah, there's some really cool ones like Adept Range, right? Like that's unique, only an Adept mod. Adept Big Ones is also unique. It combines boss spec and major spec together. And then like Adept Icarus is like an enhance over the regular Icarus, giving you some additional range and also probably some additional in-air accuracy, which is really cool. So yeah, just give your mod pool a look. You have more mods to choose from now. Alright, so now let's get into the weapon perks here, and we'll start off with the barrels. Personally, I'm going to avoid arrowhead break, chambered compensator, corkscrew rifling, extended barrel, fluted barrel, and polygonal rifling. The reason for that is because all these barrels cater towards things like recoil control, stability, and handling, and we're trying to get range, so personally that's going to leave full bore, hammer forged rifling, and small bore. I personally don't like full bore. It is going to give you more range than any other barrel, but it's also going to hurt your stability and handling. Small bore down here is going to give you some range and stability, but personally it's not giving you a lot of range and the stability isn't really necessary. I think that hammer forged rifling is in the sweet spot between these two. It's going to give you flat range. It's not going to have a penalty like full bore, but it's also not going to give you the additional stability like small bore, but you are getting more range. So personally, I think hammer forged rifling is the best in slot barrel for this weapon. I personally always chase this barrel on any hand cannon if I can get it. Moving on to the mag column, I would recommend avoiding extended mag and appended mag. I don't really think they're necessary. Extended mag gives you 3 bullets, but it hurts your reload a lot. And appended mag gives you 2 bullets. I just don't think that that's worth it. That's all it's doing. Flared mag roll down here is okay, slightly increasing stability and reload, which is not bad. I would say light mag is probably the second best option if you don't get these other 3 here. And then obviously alloy mag I think is just kind of useless, which leaves armor piercing rounds, high caliber rounds, and ricochet rounds. I think that these are the best in slot right here, tied for first. In terms of PvE, I would say armor piercing rounds are the play. It's going to allow your bullets to penetrate, and it's going to help you rip off shields quicker. So if you're ever fighting something with a void shield, because this is a void affinity weapon, I think that armor piercing rounds are just going to be the best in slot there for you. I think that armor piercing rounds, especially with the additional range here, are just fine for PvE. For PvP, I would say high caliber rounds are the best here. This is going to add knockback to your enemies, which is basically going to flinch them, and that's going to make it harder for them to land shots back on you. And keep in mind, you're also getting the additional 5 range from this, just like you were with armor piercing. But I think that high caliber rounds are just better for PvP. It's going to make it more difficult for your opponents to kill you basically, as long as you're landing shots on them, because you're going to be flinching them. And if you don't get either of those two, I would recommend ricochet rounds. Ricochet rounds are going to give you a little bit of stability and additionally that 5 range, just like these other two do. It's just going to make it a little bit easier to control the weapon. But personally, I would recommend either one of these two depending on what you're trying to get. Ideally, the godroll would have both of these right here, so that way when you're playing PvE, you can use armor piercing, and then when you play PvP, you can swap over to high cal. But if you don't get either of those two, I would say ricochet rounds, followed by light mag down here. Next up, we have subsistence, quick draw, overflow, killing wind, bottomless grief, and outlaw. The ones to eliminate, in my opinion, are going to be subsistence, overflow, and bottomless grief. Personally, I don't think subsistence works well on a hand cannon. We just don't have enough ammo in the mag. I think this works better for something like an auto rifle or pulse rifle, something with a very big magazine in it. I just don't think you're going to be able to maximize the utility from subsistence with a hand cannon. It's not going to feel bad. It's just not going to feel as good as it could. So personally, that's going to lose out. Overflow is going to allow you to get that omega huge magazine, but I just don't think that's really necessary. And you're only going to be able to get it when you drop a special or heavy break that you run over. So keep in mind, you know, you are kind of limited in that RNG a little bit. So overflow is going to feel really fun. It can be beneficial as well, but personally, I just don't think that it wins out here. Probably the most fun perk in this column, but personally, I just don't think that it wins out here. And then bottomless grief is just a trash perk in my opinion. It only is active when you're the last living member of your fire team. I just don't like it. Personally, we're just going to pass on that completely. Which leaves quick draw, killing wind, and outlaw. I would take quick draw for PvP. I think that this is going to be the best in perk here. The reason for that is because it's going to make your gun feel really snappy and it's going to feel really good. You're going to be able to run around quick and pull out the weapon immediately, basically. I think quick draw is just going to take the cake there. Anything that speeds you up dramatically for Crucible is just going to feel the best. And then down here, outlaw. I think outlaw is obviously going to be the winner in PvE. I don't really think you need to be super quick in PvE, obviously, and having that reload speed, especially because you're going to be shooting bots, you're going to be able to land those crits easier, proccing outlaw at all times, and then just feeding your mag nonstop a lot quicker. I think outlaw is just going to be a smoother experience in PvE. However, I think that if you have a good shot, you know, if you can land your headshots in the Crucible quite often, I think outlaw is actually going to be the best overall perk here for you. I think that being able to quickly diss out your mag and reload it quicker to be able to go running around with a damage buff is going to be more beneficial than being able to just pull it out a little bit quicker and ADS with it a little bit quicker. I think that getting the ammo in the mag more often is going to be more beneficial, but that's kind of situational. Personally, I think most people will just have a better experience with quick draw for Crucible and then outlaw for PvE. And then if you don't get either of the two, killing wind would be the second best option here, giving you some mobility, weapon range, and handling for a short duration. But yeah, that would only be second to quick draw and outlaw tied for first. And then lastly, in this column, we have One for All, Thresh, Unrelenting, Rampage, Rangefinder, and High Impact Reserves. Personally, I'm going to get rid of Thresh, Unrelenting, and High Impact Reserves. We're trying to get a damage buff here somewhere, and Thresh is not going to do that for us, so that's going to get kicked out. Unrelenting is going to heal us. We're not really trying to get healed, we're trying to get damage buff somewhere, so personally that's going to get kicked out as well. And High Impact Reserves is only going to work on the later half of your magazine, and it's not even going to be that big of a damage buff, especially for PvP, so personally that is going to get kicked out as well. Leaving One for All, Rampage, and Rangefinder. One for All would be the second best option with Rampage and Rangefinder tied in first. One for All is actually not too bad with a hand cannon because it is a higher DPS per shot weapon than most other weapons, right? So basically with an 11 round magazine, you got to shoot 3 bullets, and if you hit those 3 shots on 3 different targets, now you have 8 shots in the mag for 10 seconds that are going to do 35% more damage, which is going to feel really good. I think that One for All will take the second and best slot there. Personally, overall, I think Rampage is the winner here. It's going to allow you to ramp and chain. It's going to feel really good. It's going to feel smooth. You're basically going to have a damage buff at all times, especially in PvE. And it even has its place in PvP, right? Getting a little bit of extra damage from a kill is not bad. It's not going to allow you to 2-tap, but, you know, extra damage is always nice to have. Personally though, I think that most people are going to have a better experience with the rangefinder for Crucible. This is going to give it the absolute most range. However, it is going to alter your zoom a little bit. You're going to be a little bit more zoomed in with this perk, so keep that in mind. Some people do like that, some people don't. If you don't mind it, I think rangefinder will probably be the best for you. It's going to give it a lot of range, and it's going to make it feel really, really good, you know, basically cross-mapping people in Crucible. So I would personally take rangefinder for Crucible and then Rampage for PvE. But personally, I think that if you have a really good shot and you can, you know, maneuver the map quickly and, you know, stuff like that, I think that Rampage will also feel very viable in Crucible as well. So personally for me in PvE, I'm going to take Hammerforged Rifling, Armor Piercing Rounds, Outlaw, and Rampage. And then for Crucible, I'm going to still keep Hammerforged Rifling. I'm going to go High Caliber Rounds. I'm going to go Quick Draw and Rangefinder. And that's going to be the Crucible roll. No matter what, I recommend using a range masterwork on this thing. And definitely give Icarus Grip a shot if you manage to get it. It feels really good. And yeah, if anybody doesn't know, the curated roll is Arrowhead Break, Extended Mag, Bottomless Grief, and One For All. So yeah, that about does it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys found it informational or helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up and drop a comment below to let me know what you think. And definitely get out there and start farming for this weapon. It's really good. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Until then, peace out. Have a good one.